wanna get high, man?
Let's stimulate your mind.
Get up, Chucky! What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rojan Kim.
Hello and welcome to the Rojan Kim cast. You're listening to me, Rojan Kim. Thank you for joining me for episode 206. It's a Saturday. I'm in Denver. I am having a great time. I'm a little out of breath, like all the time though, because of the altitude. I've been here almost 2 weeks, and I'm still taking me a little. Still get winded just sitting, but that's all right. I'm drinking lots of water. I'm taking care of myself. It's beautiful. It's beautiful out here. It's cold. My God, it's cold, but it's beautiful. Okay. A lot of stuff's been going on, man. October's fucking awesome. October is just like surprise after surprise, you know? Fucking Trump got COVID. Like, everything's coming down to the wire. People are getting killed in the streets. Judges are getting confirmed and going after her, and fucking they're going after Trump in the town halls. And then no one's going after Biden except for the New York Post, who put out the fucking Hunter Biden article. Y'all see it. I tried to share it, and they wouldn't let me share it. So it's the censorship, actually, I think, is the biggest thing. Because it's, very possible the story's bullshit. Totally possible, but now that's not even the story. The bigger story is that fucking the tech companies are willfully censoring material partisanly, like, for political reasons, no other reason, but unless you're going to censor all news now. Is that what you're saying? The guidelines they put out basically applies to all kinds of news that could come from. I mean, how do you think news gets to the public? It sometimes happens through illegal means, it sometimes happens through hacks. It sometimes, that's the point of having a place to put this stuff out. But then people are arguing, hey, they're private companies. All right, they're private companies, then they can be sued, right? Then we could sue them for discrimination, because they're not allowed. Private companies can't discriminate, right? Private company can't say, I don't want to serve black people. They can't do that. You can't, right? So that's what the Supreme Court's for, guys. And of course, the big thing about Hunter Biden that's no one's disputing is that he's a crackhead, right? Basically, the story dropped, Twitter censored it, then Twitter got fucking, shamed for it, so then now they're kind of walking that back, and now the other side is coming. Their line is that the Russians put the stuff, that it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all fake. Made up all that stuff. I mean, this is more physical evidence than there is in Russiagate, but okay, so I guess, somebody fucking made up all these deep fake photos, and the emails are bullshit too, or they put them, or they did hack them, so then they are real. They put them on. See, that's the whole thing. The Biden camp isn't disputing the veracity, right? They're just disputing how they got them, how they got that information, but they're not disputing the information itself. Interesting, isn't it? That's the whole thing. I mean, a lot of people are saying that it's a whole thing. Stephen K. Bannon. I don't know why I'm calling him Stephen K. Bannon. You know why? Because I've been listening to his podcast. Listen, he had a pandemic podcast I was listening to back in December that warned me about this whole fucking thing happening, and then I kind of dropped out because I didn't care about politics that much. And then I started listening again after he got arrested. And, he's got some pretty deep, he's in with some Chinese billionaire, but not China. It's like an anti-China, it's like an Chinese expat billionaire, this guy Miles Guo. And he's fucking hawking his clothes on his podcast and shit. It's pretty funny. But everybody's saying Steve Bannon made this up. But Steve Bannon is saying that, well, then you should dispute it and take the post to court, and then we can do discovery, right? We could do discovery, which is an interesting point, right? If you take them to court, then we're going to have to say, all right, well, then we have to compare your actual emails to these fake emails. We have to start investigating, so we got to open it up. And I don't think they're going to do that, curiously. Why not? If the truth is there, unless there's things they don't want them to uncover. I don't know. What am I, Tucker Carlson now? I mean, fucking Tucker Carlson. I wish I didn't flub that. Sometimes I don't rehearse. I don't have a crew. It's just me. Sometimes I wish I had more time to edit out. I'm sure I'm saying some crazy things that I could edit out and use to destroy my own career. But I guess fortunately nobody cares enough to do it. Not even me. So I don't have the time. It takes a lot of time. A lot of time, believe me. Dude, I fucking saw the town hall, which was crazy, right? I saw the fucking both town halls, and it's just insane. Like, one is just he's just being grilled. Trump's being grilled. Biden's being basted with butter, right? Trump just fucking, but Trump fucking held his own. He denied white supremacy. He did denounce QAnon, but he was like, I don't know about it. And she's like, I just told you about it. And he's like, what? Do I need why to listen to you? Like, these are all good posturing, good ways to posture. It's brilliant, actually, because it's showing people at home how to behave against people who are like that, the aggressive leftists. You know what I mean? It's actually showing them. He's setting a fucking example, right? And here's the thing: is like I didn't vote for Trump. I don't support whatever that means. Support him. I don't have a MAGA hat, whatever. But I don't like being gaslit. I don't like being lied to. You know why? Because I had a whole rant. I don't know how many episodes ago about how my dad gaslit me growing up. Okay, I'm a victim of gaslighting. I think that's what it is. It's like I grew up being gaslit, and now I can sense it. I can smell it. I can sense it. I don't appreciate it. I don't care what side's doing it. I don't care if you're saying it's for good. It's not. How can you be good if you're lying? See, I think that's the fundamental thing. If you're a lying hypocrite, then it's hard for me to swallow that you're actually on the good side. Doesn't necessarily mean the other side's good, but now it makes me think, well, I'm hearing enough from the good side as to how the other side is bad. I'm going to go listen to the bad side and see what's so bad about it. And every time I do, every time I fucking listen to one of these guys, I'm increasingly radicalized by the far right. No, every time I listen to these motherfuckers, I'm like, what? It's not extreme. I've heard way worse shit. I mean, I've been on 4chan. I've been on the 8chans. You know what I mean? I'm this close to going on the dark web, fucking looking around there. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's all CP. That's what they say. It's CP. Don't click that link. I guess there's still a vibrant drug market. Use cryptocurrency and stuff. Okay, that's I didn't want to go there. No, not a segue. Drugs. Okay, here we go. Back again to drugs. Okay, all I'm saying is that you hear all this news about how they're so bad, they're evil, they're white supremacists, they're dog whistling, they're doing this and this and that. And I go, all right, I'll check it out. I go, and it's not. It's not. It's fucking, and it's kind of boring. I mean, it's just reasonable. It's not reasonable in the sense that like I'm with it. I'm just saying it's not like Nazis, and it's nothing like that at all. And I'm talking like, I don't know, whoever, not Spencer. Like Richard Spencer is clearly, he says he's a white nationalist. Okay. I'm talking about like Milo Yiannopoulos, even fucking Nick Fuentes, fucking, Trump, just listening to a Trump rally. I was curious, and I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to this fucking, his rally. He did a rally after the town hall, and it was, the guy is entertaining, I'll tell you that. I've never listened to a whole political speech before from any politician, and it's fucking Trump. It's fucking, you know what I mean? But he's got, the people fucking love him, man. The people, I don't see any kind of enthusiasm like that for Biden. The other thing is Biden's like reading off teleprompters, and Trump is just going off the dome. And he did like 3 of these fucking rallies in one day. It's like set 6 hours of riffing and crowd work, and he had talking points. He had the shit, but I watched like a couple in succession, so that I could just compare, because just as a comedian, you got to study the craft. And Trump is really, honestly, the only working comedian out there right now. He's the only one doing straight hours in front of real crowds, and he's sharp, and he's fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like he got him laughing. He's telling jokes. He's cracking jokes, and the fucking other side takes little snippets of the jokes, and they're like he said this thing of like, if Biden wins, maybe I'll leave the country. And they're like, why is he saying that? Because he knows there will be subpoenas, because he knows. And it's just like, no wonder. This is why people hate you. It's like plain, it's just so obvious when you're watching it in context that he's fucking joking, and then they take it out of context and make it serious. And it's that whole thing they said 4 years ago about how the left or the media, they take Trump literally but not seriously, whereas his supporters take him seriously but not literally, and that's so obvious in what's going on with how they take parts of his speech, what's going on with, I think the reason why they say he's a Nazi, and then it's a Nazi rally, and they try to tell you to avoid these rallies, is because they're very effective. Man, is entertaining as fuck. I mean, look, he came up through fucking reality TV and fucking pro wrestling. Like, the man is out mediating the media. At one point, he just went, "I am not a politician," and everybody goes, "Yeah." You understand how the other side, how they are politicians? You understand? Like, they are politicians, so they can't do that. Like, their whole thing is that, like, we are politicians and we want to take it back to that time. And he's just like, "I am not a politician." And then he goes up there and he's like, "Oh, I could do it. I could be like, my fellow Americans, today I come before you." And then everybody's just fucking cracking up because he's acting like a stiff Biden-like politician, career politician, right? And everybody's fucking laughing, and he's fucking clowning the other side, and and like, how can you compete? How are they going to compete against this? The only thing the Democrats have run with is fighting Trump, not Trump, not Trump, not Trump, not Trump. So it's been 4 years of not Trump. So that has, I'm 100% sure that's driven people like me, a lot of people who are liberals, who are Democrats, lifelong Democrats, into being like, all right, I'm going to check him out. I'm going to check this Nazi out. Like, how the fuck did half the country vote for a Nazi? Let's check it out. And then you're like, he's not fucking Nazi. I mean, this guy's he's a clownish, he's like an entertainer. He's a buffoonish real estate entertainment figure that got elected because that's how bad both parties are. Both parties are so bad and have failed the people so much that motherfuckers are just like, all right, I'm going to go to this guy. At least he fucking doesn't act. I mean, it's like, I know he's bullshitting us, but at least I know he's bullshitting us. I saw this thing on Twitter that reminded me of, it was something about what Malcolm X said, about the difference between the wolf and the fox, right? How the Republicans are wolves and the Democrats are foxes. And they'll both fucking kill you. At least, but the wolf, though, at least from his face that he's a wolf. You know what I mean? The fox befriends you. And the fox pretends he's your friend, and then stabs you in the back. So that's really, something to think about. Yeah, you got Ice Cube out there, put out a plan for Black America. The Democrats snubbed him. The Republicans said, "Let's talk." So he went with the Republicans, and then everybody's calling him an Uncle Tom and a sellout. Meanwhile, what's the alternative? Do nothing. I mean, the claim Trump makes, which everybody should check. I'm going to check, see if it's true. He said that he gave a 10-year fucking grant to historical black colleges and universities. 10 years instead of them having to come every year. And he said the guy who would come, the head guy who would come, said he felt like a beggar coming every time. And that was during Obama's time, too. So maybe that's true. Is that bullshit? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be disputed. I feel like that's something you would really dispute from a Nazi, the Nazi guy, the Nazi who loves Israel. Okay. I mean, that's really one of the reasons I was like, wait, what? Like, this guy loves this total Zionist, which I'm not down with. Like, he's a total fucking Zionist, and how is he a Nazi? I don't know. Okay. All right. Anyways. So then you got this laptop that fucking Hunter Biden or whoever fucking left at a repair shop. Everybody's disputing that, but then the repair shop guy is real. There was a receipt. And so now they're saying, well, one of the things was, how could Hunter Biden, who was living in LA, it's like everybody's suddenly a detective, except for the journalists and the Democrats. Everybody's playing detective online except for the actual people who could dispute this claim very easily. Interesting. So Hunter Biden, okay, so maybe he was cracked out. He ended up maybe in rehab during the time, and maybe that's what happened, and he left the laptops, and then the dude found, after a certain period of time, it was his property, and he recovered the data, and when he looked, he was like, uh-oh, and so one of the things he said is like, oh shit, they're going to kill me, which is, not unreasonable, okay? Anybody who tells you otherwise, I don't know, is either super naive or is like an agent, an operative, okay? Run from that person. But I'm telling you, people have died. Nobody's died all the time. Somebody's died too. Do you understand? If they got Epstein, they'll get everyone. Do you understand? Anyways, okay, so Hunter Biden, crack. He's obviously, clearly a crack smoker. That's not in dispute. Still a crackhead, not in dispute. Crackety crack. Joe Biden, his dad, wrote the crime bill in 94 that made crack cocaine 10 times more of a penalty than powder cocaine. Now ask yourself, who does that seem to favor? The analysis has already been done. Black, brown, poor, white people. Poor people. Black, brown, white, all of them. Poor. Mostly do crack because crack is cheaper. Okay? Plenty of white rich people have done crack, but they get charged for cocaine, you see. They get charged for cocaine. Just like Hunter Biden, if you would ever get caught, you would get charged for cocaine and not crack and put away for many, many years in prison. Have his life essentially destroyed, his family's lives destroyed, his children, everybody's lives destroyed, right? And everybody's saying, oh, all these emails and texts prove is that Joe Biden is a good dad. Oh, he's a good dad. Yeah, he's a good dad to Hunter, but he wasn't such a good dad to all the millions of lives destroyed by the drug war and the crime bill. Like, that's not a good person. I mean, so he's good just because in his own family he took care of his own, but then he let other people die, rot in jail. I mean, it's been almost 40 years, right? 40, 90, 30, 25 years or some shit. Yeah, okay. That's a lifetime. That's a fucking generation. That's people never seeing their kids. There's people dying in jail. I mean, those people have gone to jail and died. Okay? You don't think people just die in jail? They get killed in jail. They just die of old age. They die. Okay? 3 strikes you're out was part of this crime bill. That means people went to life for being a drug user. Okay? I mean, even a drug dealer shouldn't go to life, be in jail for life. But I guess that's fine. That's fine because Joe Biden loves his son, you see. He loves his son. And so, you know, there's this little saying going around, rules for thee but not for me. It's the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy of the Democrats and the left that's pushing people away. It's pushing them away. It's pushed me away. It's pushed. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna. I am not gonna vote. Okay. I mean, if I go in there, I'm gonna just vote to fucking piss people. I will vote. I don't know what it is that is the most offensive way to vote to offend the most amount of people. It might be voting for Biden, but I'll do it. I'll do it. Because that's how little I care now. Because it's fucking, they're all crooks, okay? Crooks and they're liars, and at least the crook, it's a visible crook, you know? It's a crook to my face, not a crook stabbing my back, you know? Give me some fucking, don't insult my intelligence, at least, okay? And entertain me then. If you're going to fucking rob me and lie to me, fucking at least make me laugh, you know? Let me have a good time. I mean, Jesus Christ, don't moralize and make it all. And meanwhile, you're the one responsible for the war in Iraq, right? We're talking 1 million plus people dead. 1 million plus people dead because of Joe Biden. And then the war on drugs. 1 million plus people, I'm sure, dead or in jail, okay? Just casualties from both of the millions of people. Meanwhile, his son, Hunter, the fuck up. Hunter Biden is like all of the Bluth boys combined, right? It's like, it's actually pretty serious. Hunter Biden is like, he's like all the Bluth boys combined. All right. So that's the whole thing. Look, it's all fucking pro wrestling, right? So might as well enjoy the fucking show. All right. And of course the big thing about all this is the censorship. Censorship is the big issue, right? Like, can we censor? Are we allowed to censor one side over the other? Is that allowed? Can a company like Twitter be allowed to say who, you know, like for dead naming and misgendering, you can get kicked off, but not for calling people Nazis and racists and doxing them, you know? I mean, there's this town hall and they put this black lady behind Trump. And she was nodding the whole time when Trump was saying stuff. She would be reacting very visibly in favor of Trump. And then she, of course, became the darling of people online. They loved her or hated her. But the news, of course, immediately doxed her. Who is the nodding lady behind her? They put her face out. They put her name out. They were like, oh, she's a Trump supporter. And they put her out. Why would you do that? That's so fucked up. Just because she enjoyed, she had an opinion, a strong one. I'm pretty sure they cynically put her there for race reasons. They thought that, you know, they're in Miami. She was like an Afro-Cuban lady or whatever. She was like, this person is not for Trump. And they put her there hoping it would be a good visual, and then it backfired. And then I put this thing up on my story. It was going around on Twitter. It was just from her phone, and she would just be like, woo, Trump, yeah. And she would speak out in Spanish, and then all these fucking women in the audience were clapping with her and fucking supporting Trump. And it was just, you could see Savannah Guther's face just fucking so pissed. You know, that white lady faced, the face of the white woman who's so pissed things aren't going her way. That, it's like the face of a woman who everything usually goes her way up until this moment in time. And fucking she tried so hard coming at Trump, and Trump just fucking was like, nah, you come at Savannah, please. And he was polite, he didn't call her a bitch or nothing. It's great entertainment. I suggest you watch that and watch one of his rallies where he comments on the shit, and it's fucking comedy. It's comedy. That's the thing. That's where it's ridiculous. Everything is ridiculous. Anyways, so marijuana, right? Marijuana, I always go on about marijuana. I always talk about how if there was fascism in this country, it's because of marijuana prohibition, right? If there's any kind of war, we got to stop. It's the drug war, especially on marijuana. A lot of states have legalized, but we got to just fucking, there's so many people. The entire prison system is flooded with users of drugs. And now, of course, let's talk about crack cocaine, like Hunter Biden, right? Millions of people in jail because of marijuana and cocaine, crack, whatever, the same thing that Hunter Biden does every day, probably is doing now to blow off some steam. And, of course, the poor people the rabble has to go to jail and then become firefighters or whatever because Kamala Harris says so. That's the other thing. Kamala Harris was a fucking prosecutor. I think it's like 19,000 convictions on marijuana alone in San Francisco, the most liberal city in America. Okay, you see, it's all connected. It's hand in hand, right? She's he drafted the drug war. She's one of the fucking frontline officers of it, right? She's one of the ones enforcing it. These two have single-handedly put away, hundreds of thousands of people in jail for drug use, I'm sure. If not millions, like I said earlier. Okay, I don't know. Here you go, Rojan's gone. He's right. He's a right wing. Rojan's right wing. It's not. Look, they suck too. They started the fucking wars, but now who's worse? The ones who started the wars, or the ones who expanded them to 7. The same thing with the drug war, right? You could say the right started the drug war, but the left fucking expanded the shit out of it, all while saying that they were helping the very people they're hurting. Which is probably how they get away with it. That's so in a way they're more dangerous. That's what I say. I say the liberal side seems a lot more dangerous because people trust them. It's the fox metaphor. It's literally almost like goddamn Aesop's fables. It's the fox and the wolf, right? The wolf and the fox. That's where we are. It's a pro wrestling show between the wolf and the fox. That's what we're watching. That's whatever all of this is. Of course, there you got your old Amy Coney Barrett. They call her Amy Boney Carrot. Ooh, they got her. Actually, I thought that would be funny, but then I Googled it, and I was like, oh, they already... Of course, the internet would already come up with that, but yeah, listen, I watched the thing. She actually seems like a smart lady. Senators seem like the retards. But there's this whole thing going on about, like, originalism versus interpretism, and I don't know if that's really a word. Is that a word? Originalism. Whatever. People are talking about the... people who are like originalists versus people who interpret the Constitution, which Ruth Bader Ginsburg was supposed to be a big one. And I don't know, I got to thinking about it because, a lot of good points. I'm not a constitutional scholar or whatever, but I try to have a grasp of my rights or what they're supposed to be, right? Especially, how I go on about the drug war. And, and the thing about the drug war that I think about with marijuana prohibition is that the 18th Amendment was necessary in order to pass the law that alcohol would be illegal. You know what I'm saying? Like back then, they were like, we can't just pass it. We need to actually amend the Constitution in order to say you're not allowed to drink alcohol. Okay? But a generation later, after the whole fucking, honestly, probably because of the hypocrisy of the state that started to creep in during Prohibition, where you had cops arresting people for drinking and then drinking themselves. You know what I mean? Like, just sort of like the mob, the rise of the mob, and then paying off the cops, and like this sort of underlying hypocrisy of the apparatus, the law enforcement apparatus. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of the erosion of that, I think that led to the public being okay with marijuana prohibition. That combined with racism, right? They used race to fool a white man into voting against his interest, because they were saying blacks and Mexicans. They're pitting the labor. It's like black and Mexican labor against each other. And the thing is, black and Mexican laborers probably were smoking a lot of weed, and just to deal with being black and Mexicans back in the days, working the working class with a bunch of working class whites, and working class whites are probably smoking it too, but they called it cannabis, right? And they weren't making cannabis illegal. It was marijuana. If you listen to Joe Rogan, you know all about it. So think about that. They didn't need to pass any kind of constitutional amendment for marijuana prohibition. Why? Why for alcohol? Why not for, I guess you use race. Sure, they thought it wouldn't affect them, whatever, but you understand? So then it kind of dawned on me, like, that is the difference between the originalist interpretation and an interpretationist interpretation. Obviously, I'm not a legal scholar. Please don't listen to me in any way, shape, or form to pass a law exam or whatever, or go to court. Please, it's not legal advice. All I'm saying is, like, an originalist would say we need a constitutional amendment in order to pass this law that's going to be an infringement on people's rights. Like, that's how, and they fucking got it, right? They got 2/3 of the goddamn country voted it. They voted it in, but then they made it. They're like, that's the power of white women. They did it. Okay, so then you got that, right? So but next time around, they're like, marijuana. They're like, all right, you know what? We don't need to figure. I think the Constitution, we can interpret the Constitution to say, you know what, it covers it. You know what I mean? It's a loose, like, once you start interpreting the Constitution, then you can move it out of those boundaries, the strict boundaries saying, no, we need, if any of these rights are infringed upon, we need a constitutional law. Because Congress shall make no law, right, about infringing our rights, but the Constitution can, and then we can take it all the way to the Supreme Court, right? These are the checks and balances for government. So I would argue the interpretationist would say that, no, it's totally fine in the Constitution. We already did alcohol. I don't know. I mean, the justices in their wisdom said, yeah, let's do this drug war for the next 40, 50 years, and it's going to be fine, right? It's going to be fine. One day we'll have the man who wrote a crime bill that really made it worse for people who smoke crack, running for president. And his own son will be a crackhead who never saw any jail time. And his son is such a crackhead that he left his laptop in a Delaware repair shop only for a bunch of photos of him smoking crack to come out. And that's not even the important thing. I mean, it's all the corruption, really. It's all the access peddling and the influence peddling, all that stuff. Selling. It costs money to see my dad, basically. And then make sure my son has a cushy job for the next 5 years, and then you'll get this and that. So there you go. Wow. And, of course, the brave Yas Queen cop pig Kamala Harris, whose name you must say correctly, is also responsible for keeping innocent people in prison. Look this up, dude. There are people that should be freed, and then she'd keep them in there in technicality. She knew they weren't fucking guilty, and she's keeping them in. She doesn't give a fuck. She doesn't give a fuck, man. It's all fucking whatever. She's speaking. I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah. I'm having trouble thinking of what to name this thing. Is that it? I guess that's it for now. I just wanted to talk real quickly just fucking all this crazy shit about the New York Post story, Hunter Biden shit, the town halls, the goddamn, Trump recovering, fucking doing 6 hours in a day, the fucking Amy Coney Barrett shit, this fucking, and really this whole Constitution thing, because I don't know. I don't know if that was really, if I made my point. If that makes sense, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, if you're an originalist, then you'd think black people are only 3/5 of a person, and women weren't even allowed to vote back then. If you're an originalist, and we should be using muskets or whatever." And that's not what that means. An originalist feels that you have to go according to the Constitution. You have to amend the Constitution to make changes to rights, and the Constitution has been amended 26 times. And we do follow those things. Those are the things that help us define our rights, along with the interpretation of a court. And that's what an originalist thinks. An interpretationist like Ruth Bader Ginsburg would say, no, we don't have to go through the entire process of amending. The courts themselves can decide. We can be like, no, this is what that means, and this is what that means, and we don't have to make another amendment. We don't have to use politics like that. The courts themselves can decide what rights we can and can't have. And I just don't think that's dangerous. Remember I had this whole thing about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like if they brought her back as Darth Bader Ginsburg, and she would have gender courts, right? And she'd be
You are accused of only acknowledging two genders. The punishment is death without trial.
you know what I mean? Like that's what the kind of thing that would happen, you know?
You are now dead naming me. That's life in prison.
Like, I don't know, you know, it's just would be ad hoc rules based on what's politically popular. It just seems, what am I, conservative now? What am I, conservative? I mean, I'm 42. I feel like at some point, if you don't become kind of conservative, you're, I don't know, kind of lame, right? I don't know. It's kind of, well, it's just sort of like, come on, man, just fucking, you gotta grow up. You gotta grow up. I don't know. You gotta fucking look into monetary policy. Look at the Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin and gold and silver. Buy stonks. Stonks only go up, but sell them before they go down, because they will go down. But sell them, and then you might make some money. Money which will become worthless, so you can use it to buy Bitcoin, or I don't know, Ripple. I don't know. Ethereum. Buy Ethereum. Government people are talking about Ethereum now. Try to read about it. Make sense of it. Doesn't make any. I mean, it makes sense. Bitcoin, I kind of get. The monetary policy thing. Ethereum is a lot more like what? Like it's making a world computer. It becomes a giant virtual Turing complete machine that makes other Turing complete applications. Okay, decentralized finance. Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Put the money in there and you get more money back. They say, all right, well, okay, that sounds good to me. I don't have enough money to get anything. I mean, if I put any money in, I would just get a penny or two back. So, but I guess that's still something. That's 1% or whatever. That's not bad. But I don't know. It's a lot of it's very liquidity pools, the Uniswap thing. I don't know if you guys follow this shit, but it's like, I'm like barely understanding it. I'm not gonna get involved. I'm just like kind of. It's curious. I'm interested. But I have been accumulating some Bitcoin. I have been accumulating a little bit of Ripple just because it's so fast and cheap. And I can actually load a debit card with it, and then I got crypto back from, I don't know, whatever, crypto.com. I'm not sponsored by crypto.com, but I don't know, I got a cool, sweet metallic debit card from them, and then you could load it with crypto, and then convert that into dollars, you know, top off your card and use it, and then you get crypto back, I don't know, like a few % back or whatever, but it's interesting. It's all very interesting, okay? Why? Because I'm not TikToking. I made my choice. Told you. TikTok versus the journal, and I picked the journal. You know, I decided to learn about the markets, all right? And the markets are, I don't know, I still don't get it. I mean, I get it and I don't. No, and it's psychology. Human nature, psychology. And I guess in some ways, one of the closest representations of public opinion, you know, one of the truest representations, except for the whole market manipulation thing with central banks and money managers like whales out there with tons of money, and then also algorithmic high frequency trading and all that stuff. I mean, I guess it's, even with all that, I guess it's better than polling, I guess. And it's more accurate than polling because motherfuckers are definitely lying to the media now. Dude, during the town hall, there was this lady who came up to Trump and was like, I love your smile, by the way. And people clapped. People there. Savannah Guthrie was so mad. And then later on, she told the news she was voting for Biden. You know why? Because she didn't want fucking to get doxxed. That's why. See, the other black lady, was proud. The Cuban lady was like, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Yeah, I voted for Trump. See? And then they were like, who is she? And there's all these pictures of her online. It's fucking crazy. Just type in woman nodding behind Trump and all these fucking things come up. It's fucking nuts. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right. Seems left. That's what, okay. Anyways, all right, I'll wrap it up here. Thank you very much for listening to the Rojan Kimcast. Please follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. Please tell a friend about this stupid podcast. Tell them to go to Spotify. Easiest way, Spotify or RojanKim.com, or you can go to Apple, Google, Stitcher, YouTube. I'm everywhere. Just type in Rojan Kim. I'm everywhere. I appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you so much.